Fans, we're back for another edition of Sports Chat. This is one of the biggest weeks ever. It's football time. NFL lockout is over.
Woo!
Lots of UT commitments this week. And most importantly, tomorrow starts full pad practice for the high schools and middle schools.
Pretty much the first day of season, you know. Well, last week was the first day of season, whatever, when they started 7-on-7. This is the first true season. You know, normally we would have the Hall of Fame game this weekend, but it was canceled because of the lockout. But this is the, you know, if you're a football fan, this is the week you look for every year once the Super Bowl's over.
It really is. I mean, you've got the draft to hold you over, and that's about it. I mean, there's a little bit of football on the NFL Network still from around the world. But most importantly, like I said, it's football time. We've been to these 7-on-7s. I see a lot of good potential at Campbell County High School.
They're showing some potential. It's as you mentioned in your column last week. It's kind of hard to truly judge by these 7-on-7s because the line's not there. There's there's no rushing the quarterback.
There's minimal defense other than coverage, and
Right.
it's hard to cover 5 wide receivers for any length of time when
Right.
there's no pressure on the quarterback. So you can't really tell about the defense that much.
But the thing is, it's good because it's giving the quarterback and the receivers extra time in a semi-game situation to get used to each other in the passing because the coaches, we've had them on here, they're going to pass.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a fun and gun type season.
Unfortunately, Cumberland County was supposed to, Cumberland Gap was supposed to have came and played.
Man.
And apparently Sean Jesse canceled it, from what I can understand. He doesn't want to reveal any of his defensive secrets out there.
He's afraid Rodney Ellison is going to be watching.
That's okay, because in just a couple short weeks, we're going to have one here, as the battle of the former Jacksboro coaches will commence. But right now, from what I've seen, Tuffy, he's throwing the ball around real well. Brandon Long had some good receptions in that game the other day, and Brandon Long also looked good on defense, so that's a name to watch.
Defense had a couple of interceptions and some pretty athletic interceptions too. It wasn't just the ball thrown straight to them. They had to make athletic plays to intercept the passes.
Bo Ferris is on the team now. Jordan Kindred's on the team. And Ethan Simpson is on the team now. These are some guys that had basically given up on football. That were, great players on the middle school level. I mean, I've talked to some former and current Jacksboro coaches. They'll tell you Ethan Simpson was the man for a while there. Now, yeah, he's had some great years on the basketball team as a young man. I'm hoping he can translate that to success on the football field now.
He does.
He's got size and speed.
He can jump.
He should. I'm assuming he's probably going to play receiver, maybe defensive.
I would think so.
So that should be a strong position for him, and probably for Campbell County this year with these athletes getting out there on the team.
Bo Ferris, I nicknamed him early on in his Jacksboro career as the Hammer. He was never a big kid, but he would go out there and absolutely hit you. Bo, he injured himself in the spring. Apparently he's been given his release to play.
It's going to be a really hot week this week, but hopefully they can get some morning practice time in, maybe some evening practice time in.
As we were coming up from my house up to the studio here, I noticed on Jacksboro's blinky sign, practice starts promptly at 8 a.m. tomorrow. I mean, it's 2-a-days. It's as from my particular coaching standpoint, my least favorite time.
Oh yeah, you just be there a lot of conditioning work, a lot of work on your plays and pads. It's gonna be hot, it's gonna be sweaty. These people are gonna be out working hard.
And that's what you have to do.
The season starts 3 weeks from Friday.
The 19th. I believe it is. They
Well, that's
travel to Seymour, play
less than 3 weeks.
the Eagles. You know, that should be a good you know, like I said in the column. No matter what happens in these preseason scrimmages, no matter what happens in these 7-on-7s, don't get excited or discouraged by these. These are tools the coaches use to see where they need to work.
Hey, just as we said, you can't really tell what's going on with these 7-on-7s. It's just a way to work, get some time for your receivers and your quarterback.
Now, when the Cougars travel to Seymour, that will be time when we see what this bunch is made of.
I believe they're going to have a scrimmage in full pads at Scott County
Right.
before the season kicks off, obviously.
You know, Scott County is coached by a fellow named Tony Lambert who coached the Price twins.
I mean, there's just, you know, a lot of connections all around this area.
Yeah, if you look at it right now, I mean, you can see the branches of that, well, a couple different coaching trees, really. I mean, you look at, you know, Sean's up in Cumberland Gap, Rodney's in Wartburg. Of course, you got Davey Gillum down in Anderson County, who's put together a great staff. You got the Prices here, who have a bright and a young coaching staff. You look at the two middle schools. You know, there's a lot going on there. Now, the new Jellico coach is really a newcomer to this area's coaching scene.
Jellico, I think they're going to get it straightened out up there too. As we discussed last week, they've had really good success before, and they can do it again. You know,
The potential's there.
They play in a tough region with really good teams in it. But yeah, I think Jellico will get it back.
Plus, I mean, they play almost every year. They play Williamsburg, which is a good team.
It's a big rival for them. You know, Williamsburg's only 8 miles up the road or something from Jellico, 10 miles.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Jacksboro, LaFollette, or a Campbell County Carnes type rivalry.
And so, you know, middle school, I'm not sure when their actual practice starts. I think August 12th.
Well, they start tomorrow.
Is it actual middle school? I thought that, I was thinking that one of the middle school coaches told us August 12th is when their practice started.
I think August 12th is a jamboree.
Maybe so then. I didn't know that if they were able
I've
to
got a
practice
schedule at home.
long before school started on the middle school level.
Yeah, they actually start once it became the TMSAA, they started the same day that the TSSAA could. In fact, back in the day, of course, Luke was a part of this too. We used to do a Midnight Madness practice.
We did Midnight
And I would love to actually see that come back at really all three schools. I mean, it was more of a community picnic, get out, meet the players, you know, meet the coaches, everybody eats.
I'm really hoping, you know, just waiting on that first Jacksboro game, that first LaFollette game. LaFollette, see how the new staff does up there. I think they're going to be fine.
Now, I have a lot of faith in Chris Honeycutt as coach.
You know, there's going to be some fall off with some of the players they lost off this team, some of the 8th graders.
No, they have to say LaFollette lost a lot. Jacksboro lost quite a bit. And, you know, Jacksboro has some strong underclassmen that I remember. Austin Raines, Koji Ursino, which may or may not actually be how to pronounce his name, but I'm pretty sure that's close.
I believe it was Ursino. You called him Eureka most of the year.
You know, nobody corrected me till the end of the year in my defense.
It looks like it says Eureka, so yeah.
You know, those two in particular will be there. Of course, LaFollette's got Ethan Simpson's little brother Jack. Ethan Jeffers' little brother Jack.
Admittedly, we watched a lot more Jacksboro than we did LaFollette. I'm sure they have some young players. It's just, when you lose a quarterback at the level that Ethan played at and the receivers that they had, it's going to be hard to replace, and your coach too.
Right, I mean, this will be a whole new look for LaFollette this year.
So the new coaches, you know, LaFollette threw the ball around a lot last year. They may have to scale back and run more, which is normal for a middle school. But you know, who knows? Maybe they'll throw it a lot just to keep people off balance.
It worked.
And that's Jacksboro's got. I figure Jacksboro should be pretty good because you know they've had the same system in place for years.
Right, they've got mostly the same staff in place.
A lot of those people coming back.
Got a new guy, Daniel Collins, who I hope to have up here soon. He played for us in middle school, and He played down at AC, and Matt Price was his defensive coordinator. He was defensive tackle. Went and played 2 years at Carson Newman before he tore his knee up. So he's got some. He brings a whole new level to the middle school that he can teach them that it's a little bit different than what they're used to.
Right.
You know.
I'm always excited to get out to the middle school games. You know, good time. Jacksboro, great host.
Yeah, it can't. That atmosphere can't be beat. Speaking of good hosts, of course, the Price twins have been very, and their whole staff have been very gracious to us. You know, when we've been up there, and I got to go on again about the work they've put in.
I mean, every time we go up there, they've improved something.
Now, I didn't notice as much, but you all were up in the stands filming.
They've been doing some power washing earlier the day before the 7-on-7. So, you know, they're trying to get the bleachers looking good.
And that's tough with those old concrete bleachers.
Probably some painting and such.
A lot of the old rough, scaly paint that was on the bleachers, it's gone now.
Right.
You know,
They
they've
power
taken that
washed it off.
now.
They took the time to clean it.
They say they're going to paint over some of that stuff. They're going to paint the rails white. You know, I think they're going to have the stadium looking good. You know, it's the coaches putting in a lot of work. Their families putting in a lot of work.
And, you know, a lot of people say, well, what does that have to do with football? It has to do with atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, you know, nicer the stadium, the better people like to be there.
And I'm gonna throw some shout out to some people that don't get a lot of credit, but have also worked very hard the last week. Campbell County High School's marching band has been doing band camp.
But they have band camp this last week and this next week.
It's terrible.
I mean literally,
they're in the parking lot.
they're marching around on the parking lot during
in this heat.
During this heat, yeah.
You know,
and they're there all day. I mean, they start about 8 o'clock. I think they're getting down like at 4 or something like that.
Everybody up there, from the band, the coaches,
of course, the cheerleaders have been at the
cheerleaders have been
UT
going to camp.
the UT clinic camp.
They
did really well. In fact, I'll have a story up later this evening about the cheerleaders.
Every level of the entire program is clicking along. Student council getting their spirit week, getting their homecoming details out,
Getting some stuff going.
trying to get the parade going.
You know, this year. This is going to seem, you know, if any of y'all ever watched the show or the movie Friday Night Lights or the movie Varsity Blues, just those Texas towns just shut down on Friday night. That's what I would love to see here. You know, I would love to see just pretty much empty parking lots everywhere in town except for Campbell County High School.
Yeah, I mean, we always have a good crowd up there, you know, even despite on the field results. You know, I'm not sure how we're going to do on the field yet this year. You just never know.
Well, you can't know. It's the preseason.
And, you know, I honestly don't have the just expectations they're going to go out and win 10 games or anything like that. But, you know, I think they have the shot to win some games.
Yeah, I can look at that schedule and say there's a lot of potential. Of course, you know, they're playing one school regular season that has a UT commitment already. I mean,
Right.
Blank from Central, good athlete. Central's a strong program. But, you know, I do not count Campbell County out of that game at all.
You just never know what's going to happen, you know. The new system, new look from Campbell County. It's a look potentially that gives other teams trouble. It's worked very well in Anderson County.
It's worked very well. I mean, it's not unlike the system that Rodney runs at Wartburg, for example.
You know, not much would surprise me. It may take a while to get it going. And, you know, that's actually more to be expected when you put this much new stuff in with new staff and everything. All the
Not even getting to go through spring practice.
It's going to take more time to get going, you know. And no result's going to disappoint me this year. If they went 0-10, I wouldn't be disappointed. As long as, you know, they're playing hard and trying and showing up.
Right. Of course, we all, hope they do much better than 0-10, but
I would expect them to do better than that. But, you know, at this time, I have no expectation or anything like that they're going to go out.
I've always had a feeling, you know, every year, thinking, well, we should win 2 games, we should win 4 games. I don't have a feeling yet this year because, like I said, I've not got to, spring practice was a very fundamental thing. We have a brand new coaching staff that, if hard work translates into victories.
I say, I will just about guarantee that you're going to see effort this year.
Oh, yeah.
and you're going to see a fun brand of football played this year.
I mean,
Regardless of whether that translates to wins or not, you'll never know until they start playing the games.
but we'll see, soon. And, there's a lot of more football to talk about. In our second segment, we'll talk about UT football, pro football, some other stuff coming up. But like I said, high school football, you can't beat it for fun, for excitement, for atmosphere in a small town.
Yeah, everything we say about Campbell County, going to Campbell County High, doing the same applies to Jellico.
Right.
Go up there to your Jellico game. It's the stadium's right there in town. It's conveniently located for so many people, and you really should have a few hundred people there.
Right. I mean, when we went up there last year for the Wartburg game, Wartburg literally had, I imagine, what is almost every fan that comes to their home games
The
at
Wartburg
Jellico.
bleachers were filled up, basically.
And same thing when we went to see Wartburg play Oliver Springs.
I believe that that Jellico can win. I believe they can fill the place up there. I know they can because they've done it before.
Right. It's all about getting out and supporting your team. Why wouldn't you support these kids?
Right.
I don't think there's that much to do in Friday nights here in. I know there's not here on this side of the mountain, and I don't think there's that much to do on that side.
They literally have to cross state lines or drive down here to go to the movies.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on. I've been, around football in Campbell County my whole life. I of course went through a period where I didn't go to Campbell County games because some hard feelings I had over some political crap with coach firings and all that. But, and I got past that. I go out and support the team again. Last year, I chose to go out and support my friends that were coaching other teams. But, this year I love Sean as much as you wouldn't believe it from watching this show. I love Rodney. But I really pretty much plan on seeing it in one of their games. And that's when they play each other.
Right. Pretty much week 0.
Yeah, from here on, from week 1 all the way through the playoffs, I want to see Campbell County play.
So according to where they're at, I see good. We'll go to a Jellico game or two. As well.
Right, there'll be some Jellico coverage.
In-county teams are going to get
Right.
coverage. We're in-county teams get our support. It's good to see your friends doing well out, but it's in county.
Right, there's
everybody. You got no excuse not to go.
Right.
well, fans. I think it's about a good stopping point to wrap up this particular segment of Sports Chat. We've talked a lot of football. We got a lot more football talk to come. We'll be right back.